Welcome to the November edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll say goodbye to a familiar face in White Bear Township. And we'll take a look at some exciting places to visit around the area during the fall months. All that and more is straight ahead on Northeast Journal. Hello everyone and welcome to the November edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Every month on Northeast Journal, we give you an inside look at the people and places that make up the northeast section of the Twin Cities. Generations of area residents make the trip each fall to a beautiful farm in Lake Elmo to get pumpkins, pet animals, and take beautiful photos. Here's a look at Country Sun Farm.
Started with just selling pumpkins for Halloween, and it became, people wanted more to do, something to see and stuff. So now we have a petting zoo that's free. Kids can come out and see cows, goats, sheep, different farm animals. We do a hayride that goes all the way around the farm, shows them some pumpkins, has some fun stuff on it, just Halloween stuff for kids to see. And we also do a corn maze, that's a 3-acre cornfield. With trails in it. Kids get to walk through there, try to find their way back out of the cornfield. Pumpkins is still our focus. We were just out picking pumpkins today. We grow all of our own pumpkins. We had a great season for pumpkins this year. It's a great place to come out on the weekend. Like I said, there's food, there's stuff to do. You can spend an hour here, you can spend all day here. Everybody has a good time, and we get thanked a lot for putting on something that the whole family can enjoy. The fun thing is now a lot of people will come out and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember coming here as I was a kid. My parents took pictures of us in front of the big pumpkin. Now I'm taking pictures of my kids in front of the pumpkin, It's something that's become part of their memories of their childhood growing up.
Todd Bowl, the man responsible for starting the Free Little Library movement, passed away last month. He was a resident of Hudson, Wisconsin, and his little libraries can be found all over the country. Here's a story producer Jeffrey Wilson did a few years ago on Emma's Free Little Library in North St. Paul.
In a quiet neighborhood in North St. Paul.
It's a learning center. I've decided I'm renaming it, and it's a learning center.
Linda Orsello tends to her little library.
There's adult books and children's books and cooking magazines, and I try to put in activity books and puzzles and beanie babies.
What she has created is a place to encourage learning.
If I was a child, I would come and see a beanie baby, and that would draw me into the library. And then from there, you start looking at the books.
And foster community.
My sister was here from Two Harbors, and she was checking it out the other day, and there was some boys at the park who looked like they're about 14 or 15, and they yelled really loud, "There's some really great books in that library."
any time of year.
Well, even with all the snow and the bad weather and everything, we could see footprints in the snow. So we knew that people were still using it even all winter long.
An idea pulled from the pages of tragedy.
In 2004, we lost a grandchild at birth. And I just always wanted to do something to make the pain feel a little bit easier. And that's why it's called Emma's Little Library.
Emma's Little Library, charter number 5182 of the Little Free Library movement, is used to foster reading in the community, paying little mind to the take a book, leave a book philosophy.
If you want a book, you come and take it, or take 2 books. To me, it's the reading of it. If I can get children to come in and open the door and want to read a book, and if they return that book, fine. If they return no books, I don't care. I keep restocking it. So it's mostly just to promote reading.
All that is asked is a little information.
I have a notebook in there. The purpose of that was so that I would know who was using it and what their age was and what books they enjoyed, so that I could resupply those books that they were taking.
It's time for a short break. When we come back, I'll be joined by the longtime Township Clerk Treasurer for White Bear Township, who is retiring.
It's the most natural thing for me to dance, but I was tripping and I was falling and didn't even know what multiple sclerosis was.
When I perform, I really love connecting with people. It's definitely cool to be able to give someone an experience through virtual reality.
Oh my God. I dream sometimes and I see that.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. After over 30 years as the Township Clerk Treasurer for White Bear Township, Bill Short is retiring. He's here with us today to talk about his career. Bill, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Northeast Journal.
You're welcome.
And as I mentioned, you're going to be hanging it up after a really long career with White Bear Township. Now, first off, can you kind of explain to people, I'm sure people in this area might know, but kind of what exactly is a township? And I know your title might be a little confusing, Township Clerk Treasurer. It's more comparable to what other cities would have as like a city administrator or city manager, right?
Exactly. The township form of government differs from a city form of government. However, there are over 1,800 townships in the state, and I think there are about 850 cities. The town form of government is what described by the Association of Townships as grassroots, but it's comprised of elected town board supervisors, and there's several forms. There's an option for a 3-member town board, which we have. Some townships have a 3-member town board and an elected clerk and an elected treasurer. Some have an appointed clerk treasurer, which I am. There's a tie-up. There's another form of government called having a town administrator, and I don't know of any towns that have that. Some townships have a 5-member town board and an elected clerk and an elected treasurer. So I think there's 4 or 5 different forms of town government. But townships differ from cities in some sort of significant ways that most people really aren't familiar with. White Bear Township functions just like any suburban municipality. We're very similar to Vadnais Heights or Shoreview in that we provide the same services. We cooperate with our neighbors on providing certain services, but to most of our residents, I don't think that they can tell any difference in what we share a school district, and we all work within Ramsey County. But the township has what's called our annual town meeting, and that we have an annual town meeting in March, and then we have a special town meeting in December. And at those meetings, those who attend, the residents, actually vote on the levy. So the levy that is certified to Ramsey County for our property taxes are voted on by the people as opposed to being voted on by their elected representatives on the town board. So the town board is identified sort of as a resource to help compile a budget and make a recommendation on a levy, but the people approve the levy. Another difference is we have a 3-member town board. We don't have a council or a mayor. Bob Kermes, our current town board chair, is just one of 3 equals on the town board. The 3 of them then choose a chair basically to run the meetings and sign the checks. But the chair's powers are no different than the powers or responsibilities of the other 2.
I've been to a number of those annual meetings over the years because we always air those on our channel, and it seems like, you get really good input from residents and, maybe it's different from behind the scenes, but from what I'm able to view, it seems like people generally get along and there's a good discourse, between the board and the residents. And, like any city or township or community, there's, sort of some lively debates, but it seems like things usually run pretty smoothly.
Yes, the very first annual meeting I attended was in 1989. At that point in time, there were a few controversial issues, extending sewer and water to the north end of the township, and how we wanted to proceed with police services generated a turnout of over 200 people. And I learned right away, as the planner at that time, the significance of the annual town meeting. Over the years, our preparation for those meetings and our response to issues raised during the annual meetings has helped us, let's say, communicate with our residents and address issues that can always come up at the annual meeting, like they did in 1989. But we've managed to sort of process some of those issues through the normal town board meeting process. But the annual meeting is always there for residents to bring up whatever issue they want to bring up that can come to the floor. As you may recall, the meeting is actually run by a moderator, not by a member of the board, and the moderator is just a resident who volunteers to run the meeting. And we've been fortunate in having moderators that handled that job very smoothly. The town, as a result of this relationship with our residents and sort of the natural makeup of the town board supervisors that we've had, there's been I think a genuine effort to help those who attend the meetings and the town board meetings feel welcome and comfortable. And having that annual meeting twice a year helps sort of reinforce the need for that and the value of it, so that as a result, those annual meetings tend to have meaningful dialogue, but not often are there issues brought up that we didn't hear from elsewhere. But it's always got the potential. One year, I think it was 2010, when the December meeting, at the December final levy meeting, the finance officer presented a budget and a recommended levy, and there were several in the audience who appreciated the budget but thought it might be a better idea to cut $100,000 out of the budget. And so a motion was made and passed to approve the budget less $100,000. And then it was left up to the town board and staff to figure out how to operate the town on a slightly lower budget than had been anticipated. So you never know.
Yeah, can always be surprises. Let's take it back a little bit. How did you first, come to start working for the township? How did you start your career there?
Well, my first contact with White Bear Township was as a student intern with Ramsey County Open Space, at which time I was asked to prepare some concept land acquisitions for Tamarack Nature Center. And I made a presentation to the town board. That was in June of 1973. Then I graduated. My first job was in Fort Lauderdale. Never expected I'd be back. But as a result of recessions and other things that affect recent graduates, I found myself back in the Twin Cities and was hired by the consulting firm that prepared White Bear Township's first comprehensive plan. And I was given the responsibility early on to present that plan in 1975, and then I served as the town's consulting planner until 1984. And so that was my first really meaningful contact with the town. I attended planning commission meetings and reviewed development reports, and then helped them update their comprehensive plan in 1982, 83, and then left for Florida again, only this time it was Tampa, and was contacted by White Bear Township in late 1988 with a question about whether or not I would be interested in serving as their first staff planner. And at that point in time, I was interested in other options, and it appealed to me. So I became the town's first full-time staff planner in September of 1988. Then when Bill Malinan, the town's clerk treasurer, took a job in California, the town board appointed me as clerk treasurer. And I was appointed as interim clerk treasurer in October of 90 and full-time clerk treasurer in I think January of 91.
Okay, so the rest is history. So what brought about the decision now after all these years, to retire? Just felt it was time?
Well, the town board and I go through we review goals of the town with the help of a consultant, updated our mission statement, values and goals, and as we were talking about town goals and Bill's goals, I share with the board that I wanted to retire before I turned 70. I thought it would be a good idea, and so I will be 70 next year. So here we go.
And I understand they've found your successor, but you guys will work together for a little bit till you're done at the end of November?
Yep. The town advertised for the clerk treasurer position this summer, received 34 applicants. They ended up interviewing 3 and selected Patrick Christopherson, who's currently serving as the county coordinator in Kanabec County. And Patrick will start on November 13th, and my last day is November 30th. So we'll have a couple of weeks to work together. And like I've mentioned, I'll be around and provide any help Patrick would like.
That's great. And any big plans yet for your retirement, or just kind of see what happens?
See what happens, yep.
But, I imagine it sounds like it's been a rewarding career for you and that you've, enjoyed it. To stay that long, I'm sure you must have appreciated working for the township.
It's interesting. I really can say that despite, there's parts of jobs that are more challenging than others, but actually I enjoyed coming to work every day. And I always also thought that as I look back on my career, I realized for whatever reason, and I think I mentioned this to Mary, I had never taken a 2-week vacation. I just didn't get around to it. Well, I got time for
that now. You certainly earned it and deserve it, yeah.
And another thing, and within White Bear Township, having a 3-member town board and having had such thoughtful and dedicated town board supervisors for that period of time, I made a list. Over that 30 years, I've worked with only 8 elected officials, 8 different people. So the township has benefited from continuity in terms of those who have chosen to serve in elected office, and that continuity helps make working with staff, helps developing and implementing policy that much more effective and efficient. So a real key is having had a really good working relationship with the town board during that whole period of time.
Well, that's great. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time here, but I want to thank you so much for coming today and wish you the best of luck on your retirement. And we'll miss seeing you at the annual meeting, but maybe you'll come just for fun and sit in the crowd or something.
Yeah, I'll be there as a resource.
Okay. You're always welcome to watch it on our channel if you just are dying to see how it's going. But no, we appreciate everything and wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll be seeing you around.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And it's time for another short break. We'll be right back with more of Northeast Journal in just a minute.
Heroes come from small towns.
Many of our heroes coming home from wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have a new battle: unemployment. Hello, I'm Rocky Lynn.
I'm Sergeant Dejan Farrell.
And I'm Captain Ron Jarvie. The unemployment rate for today's veteran is 12%.
That's twice the average of others living here in the Heartland.
This year, tribute to the troops, the Armed Forces, and members of the Upper Midwest ME chapter are asking you to help. Hire today's veteran.
To hire today's veteran, visit positivelyminnesota.com/veterans.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. Officials from Ramsey County recently held a public meeting to discuss expansion of the Bruce Vento Trail through White Bear Lake. Here's a brief look at what took place.
Just a brief little overview on this. So there are 3 projects that we have going on right now. So I just wanted to briefly talk about that. We have, the first project is Berkeley Road to Highway 96. So what this project is there was a preliminary design study in 2014 to 16 to see how we could extend the trail from Berkeley Road to Highway 96. And as of right now, we're going into a final design and development on that project right now. I have submitted for a federal grant, so hopefully we're successful and we can get that section of trail implemented in 2022. And then we have the second project, which is why we're here tonight. That's this meeting. It's trying to find where does the trail go from Highway 96 to County Road J. So we're going to look at some potential alignments. We're going to have some discussion in regards to is there any way that we can get the trail through the downtown location? I know we have it master planned within the railway corridor, but right now it's very difficult for us to try to do that, so we're trying to see, is there still any other options that we can look at? As well as talking about some other connections and to the downtown area. And then the third project that we have going on, we have to go through a master plan amendment. So there's been a lot of changes to the Bruce Vento Trail. The Ramsey County section from Larpenteur Avenue and then all the way up to County Road J. There's going to be changes that is occurring with the Rush Line project, we're shifting there. The realignment of sections from Berkeley Road to Highway 96, as well as wherever the trail ends up from Highway 96 to County Road J. So that master plan amendment is going to really document what that portion is, where the trail is going to really end up, as well as being the guiding document for future development. So a little bit about the master plan process. So we have a couple areas that we are looking into. So the first one is the review of the existing facilities. So this is something that we started, it was kind of mid-2017. We worked with Ramsey County Public Works, staff from City of White Bear Lake, staff from White Bear Township, as well as staff from Regional Rail to at least bring up the question and start the process. How do we get this trail extended up to County Road J? So we looked at a lot of alignments through that whole corridor, and then we went back and started eliminating some of the alignments as we started getting a better picture of potential impacts or other connections or just pure difficulty. So that was completed actually this year. So we started in 2017. This last summer we went out and we did a much more thorough analysis on some of the alignments that you see here today. The public input period. So this is the first meeting. So we're looking at having 2 meetings here. So one tonight, we have another one on October 25th. And really it's about the discussion of possible alignments, and then to further talk about that on the 25th. If there's any new things that get brought to the table tonight, we can try to take a look at it and bring back to the 25th. And then we will probably have a third meeting. We have not set that yet, and that's going to be more of trying to get down to a preferred trail alignment, kind of illustrating what that is and have a little bit more general discussion. As well as the master plan process, that's going to more or less start next year. So we're going to start the document process kind of spring of 2019, and then work through the public engagement period through spring, summer, and then by the end of the year, we hope to have that master plan document completed. So there's a lot of work that we're going to be doing through this whole stretch. So I want to really talk a little bit about some of the project goals, and this is more specifically related to the Highway 96 to County Road J. So one, we want to refine the potential alternate trail alignments. So where do these corridors need to go? So that's why we're here tonight. We have some located. We want to hear if there's more that's out there, as well as Can we determine if it's through the downtown, if we can still fit it through the downtown area? We want to provide connections to the Rush Line BRT and to downtown White Bear Lake. We want to have additional community engagement meetings, as well as this is also going to be a basis for the master plan amendment. So I want to get a little bit within the possible alignments, and I apologize, it's hard for you to see right now, but I'll try my best, and then we'll answer questions afterwards and go through the graphics. So maybe what I'll do is I will at least go to the board right here. So like I said earlier, we had several alignments. We had several alignments on the west side of Highway 61 as well as on the east side of 61. And as of right now, we have it narrowed down to kind of the west alignment is heading straight north on Bald Eagle Avenue up to Bald Eagle Boulevard. And then we have a bunch of possible scenarios on side streets to get up to the Bald Eagle Otter Lake and then ultimately up to County Road J. So as you go back and look at these drawings, you'll see a lot of numbers that are here, and then those numbers will relate to a board which shows some pictures, and it talks a little bit about what that area is. What does it look like? What are the opportunities? What are the impacts to that area? And then the other route that we have located right now is basically on the east side. We're looking at potentially utilizing the Lakes Links Regional Trail for a portion of the Bruce Vento, and then trying to extend north back up to Bald Eagle Otter Lake Regional Park, and then ultimately up to County Road J. And again, there's each trail connection or trail corridor offers its own unique atmosphere. They have opportunities, constraints, so they have a lot of different characteristics in each corridor. So that's what we tried to at least document here tonight, and that's what we want to have a discussion around.
That's all we have time for on this month's show. Thanks for tuning in, and join us again next month for another edition of Northeast Journal.